Giving starts when you're a little kid. And who remembers the marshmallow, where the marshmallow was put in the room with the kids? And one marshmallow. And they're told, if you don't eat that marshmallow, when we come back, we're going to give you more. And you guys ever seen that before? And sure enough, the kids that just could not control themselves, they had to have that, grabbed it and just ate it. The other kids waited, and they got rewarded with more. And it starts when you're a kid. It starts when you're a kid. And so I've watched, we're older now, and in myself, I did good. I didn't have a lot of instruction. All I knew was Catholic church. My parents handed me $1. And then the church I was in as a teenager, they talked about tithe. So I was working, and I immediately started tithing, but they didn't even get into anything else. And my parents never taught me how to budget. I just happened to be self-disciplined and pretty good with it. It wasn't until we got married and had children, and I got into the mode of using my credit card because I'm going to buy my children something that's going to help them, later. And pretty soon, I can't pay the credit cards off, and the credit cards are adding up. So I no longer was saving money, and I no longer was using self-control. I'm going to give you 5 things that I learned from Larry Burkett, Dave Ramsey, that if you do, you will be able to be generous. You can even be rich. And this is all predicated on the fact that you've learned God's principles. He's first. Because people in the world don't know God, and they do these principles, and they work. It's crazy. They do God's principles, right? So I'm just going to say real quick, God's first. Again, that's the beginning, that's the foundation. If he's actually not first and you try to fudge that, there's no hack for that. Loving God with all your heart, soul, mind, there's no hack. I know everybody has got the coolest hack for this, that, and the other. There is none for that. Either he's first or he's not. So he teaches you in his word how to do finances, right? So he's first. He's told us, obviously, with the tithe. It's his. It's holy. What do you tithe on? You tithe on finances, profit that you make, salaries that you have, jobs, you get a paycheck every week. You tithe off of that. You don't say, well, I'll tithe off of this one, but I'm not tithing off of that one. You don't say, I'm not going to tithe because I'm in debt now. I've spent too much. I've been selfish. I'm in debt now, so I'm not going to it's not giving. You're not giving when you're tithing. It's God's. It's holy. Again, you can't hack that. That's just what it is. All the rest, first fruits, that's like smart. Pastor Skip talked about first fruits last week. They would take, the children of Israel would take the first apples, the first fruits, the first animals, and they'd bring them into the priest. The priest would then bless their harvest, bless their animals. That wasn't the tithe, because the tithe, you line up 10 sheep and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is tithe. It's not the same thing. So they would bless your finances, your apples and all of that stuff, right? So what is that like for us now? First time you ever start a job. I've done this ever since I learned about first fruits. If I have a new job, first paycheck, that's a first fruit. I give it to the Lord, and I ask the Lord to bless this job. It's his. I'm not getting any of it. It goes right to him. That's what a first fruit is. First time you get a bonus. That's what a first fruit is. Okay, and you guys know what alms, we do alms and offering. These are the 5 things. Number 1, and for some of us, this is so hard, but you got to do it. You have to have a written plan. Some people call it a budget. Tell your neighbor, got to have a written plan Got to have a budget. And you teach your children this. If you're a wise parent, you teach your children this. I love Sarah Jo's teaching her kids. They're making money when they work for me. Give, save, spend. And I tell them all the time, you don't have to even spend. You can put that spend and save. And one of my granddaughters is so generous. She's always giving, like, hello. A chance to give they love. But you can't skip this part. You got to do this. You got to have a written plan. Number 2, if you're in debt, get out of debt. Do whatever it takes to get out of debt. And I just shared with you what happened to me. I got in debt, and it took me 2 solid years to get out. That's a long time. It's long. I mean, there was so much income, and I'm going to tell a really good story on my husband and I. We worked really hard. We get out of debt. Yes, we get out of debt. Oh, my goodness. My husband comes to me, and this is when personal computers became the thing. And he says, the Lord wants me to have a personal computer. I said, oh, okay. And how much is this personal computer? It's $1,000. I said, okay, immediately. I just worked 2 years to get us out of debt. I said, we've agreed. He's talking to me because we've agreed on a certain amount of money. We're going to talk to each other. We're not just going to go spend it. I said, okay, let me talk to my boss. I used to do piecework. I used to stencil slates. That's how I put my kids through the Christian school. So I said, I'll talk to my boss, see if I can get more. It would probably take us this many weeks, and you can help me if you want. He goes, I really think the Lord wants me to have it now. I said, okay. I said, honey, you know very well, because now means credit card. I said, okay, you can very well go out and do that. You're the boss. But I'm just telling you, I would much prefer to ask my boss and see if I can get extra work, and we pay for this thing in cash. So what's it going to be? What do you think it was? Rich said credit card, honey. What do you think it was?
He is on your team.
They're all afraid to say. Rich said credit card. Nobody else is talking. So I got extra piecework, and he started working with me, and that's another story. But we paid cash. We paid cash for that computer. Yeah, so get out of debt. How do you get out of debt? One of the things is look at what you have. Can I sell something? I mean, his sister's at our house. She organizes stuff, and she found a coin. How much was that thing worth? She has an app. She sells stuff. She found a coin that's worth all kinds of money. We have a spoon that we're trying to get cleaned up. That thing was $495. It's just sitting around, this amazing-looking spoon. Sell. Take on other jobs for that time. Number 3, all right, we got budget, all this, foundation, God's first. Number 2, get out of debt. Number 3, live on less than you make. Live on less than you make. So that would be called within your means. Make whatever changes you need. And by the way, you need to take responsibility for where you're at, right? Number 4, save money. It was actually his mom and dad that helped us to start saving again. I don't know if you remember this, but I used to save, and then we had kids, and we lived in a trailer, and then we were starting a church, and sometimes there was no money. So I got into using the credit cards. Now we're getting out of debt, and his mom and dad moved to Africa, and American money is king in Africa. And they would ask us if we would send cash, whatever cash we would send, they would double when they got back. And sometimes it was $20, sometimes it was $50, sometimes it was $100. But I'm like, wait, I'm doubling this? We didn't have a lot at the time that we could. I wish we could have done more. But it got me back into the habit of saving. I'll share something with parents that have young children. I started saving when my kids were 6, 7, 8, and 9, $5 a week, $10 a week. And I told them, if you don't drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, have sex, or do drugs, on your 18th birthday, I will reward you with $2,500. The $5, the $10, the $20, and the $50 added up to $2,500 by the time they turned 18. And both of them, I was able to give them a check. Joshua was probably the one that had the more difficult time, because his worldly basketball buddies would say to him, "Why don't you come to the parties? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that?" And he told me a story once, and I was like holding my breath when he told me this story. He's like, "Yeah, they're giving me a hard time because I'm not coming to their parties and doing what they do. And it's so stupid because most of the time they couldn't even play because they were doing the drugs and then they get suspended." He says, "Well, I don't do it because when I'm 18, I'm getting a check for $2,500 from my parents. I just don't want to do that stuff." And the kids go, "I wish your parents were my parents." Is that what you think they would say? But that's what they said. All right, so that save money. And then last one, be outrageously generous. And you know what? It's really fun. It's so fun to give. It really is. I like what Rebecca said about giving. It is the most fun. And again, the most fun I've ever had is once when we sold our house. My tithe goes to our Apostle Chuck at the time, and I couldn't wait. We took that check. It was like $13,000. And see, some people sell their house and they think, well, I'm buying another house, so I have no profit. No. What was the profit on that house? Tithe off it and give offering and alms. And I had no idea we'd build 5 houses. We started out in a trailer. I didn't know we were going to build 5 houses. But all along, he helped me. He helped us get out of debt, to save, to be generous, and always, again, keeping him first. We want you guys all to walk in this, to be fruitful in this, to be able, when Haley says, I'm going on a mission trip, or Amariah, or Sam, or Neilani, or whoever it is, that you've got a good chunk that you can give to be a blessing to them. It is wonderful to do that. That's what God meant. He said to Abraham, I am blessing you so you can be a blessing. So he's blessing you, Rebecca, so that you can be a blessing. And Pam, he's blessing you so you can be a blessing. And the rest of us, if there's places where we don't have self-control, like the kid with the marshmallow, I want you to think of the kid with the marshmallow. Wait. The other thing I taught, my daughter's doing it with her kids. I'll share this because this is such good advice. The kids wanted a new bike. Okay, you want a new bike? All right. What chores can you do? What work can you do to help save for it? This is what mom and dad can help put towards it. And in the meantime, you're going to wait 30 days, at least 30 days, and we are going to find the best deal we can find for a bike. So the kids would go to work. They'd look at what they'd saved. They'd look at, if they could get some extra jobs, and then they'd go to the store. Now it's Amazon, but back then we'd go to the stores, find the best deal. And half the time, depended on the item, half the time, 30 days is up, guess what? They're not interested in it anymore. They're not interested. It's such a good thing instead of, I want this, and you feel like you need to give it to them. Right? No, you don't.